Okay, let's look back at 2015. I'm in a happy position that everything that I presented to you, this is the table I presented to you in the beginning of the year, what we were going to do. We all delivered it. If they are in orange, it means we delivered them a bit later. And this gives you a good idea when when Antoine said to you, we can give you a planning from our side. We can never commit to the planning. A good example is Define a Job, which was planned for Q2 and only delivered in Q3, which is purely due to this package was already developed even before the year. There were problems in the deployment on servers, because it goes together with a whole lot of other changes, the new user management, which is a part for the extra. And things go wrong with our testing, which gets the whole package stuck with our quality assurance team until we can be sure when we go live that it's okay, which can easily delay things for months. It's really the whole cycle with a patch has to go through a lot of servers again, because we cannot afford. We even had one downtime because there was something which you cannot test, where some load from a grabber killed one system, you see. So we really have to be well prepared, but this slows down things. So it's really difficult for us to say this will be there. From our side, we have contractors, they deliver in time, but then the whole deployment. But I think we did quite well. So we had the beta, which was then replaced by the new Find a Job, which is live now and which has an ever-increasing load to it. We had the API version 2, but I will come to that in a separate topic. And the API specs that we're going to do, they're finished. I sent them around and it's going to be a main topic of our meeting. On the interoperability, we promised you to have the standard drafts ready. I was very optimistic in Q2, but the survey took longer and but I think it was worthwhile waiting. So we will have them now by the end of the year, so we have the standards drafts now ready, which is a very important point. We have a beta matching, which is deployed. So the first version was not deployed. We decided to have the 0.2, which is just a newer version deployed, but it's still not exposed. We had serious issues deploying the matching engine. There is a lot of technical components there because all vacancies are being processed by semantic engines, building up repositories, and this was really killing a machine, we saw. So a lot of tweaking has been done by technical people to get it running, and now they told me it's running, it's back in production, but only with one user. One of our technical people is doing automatic matching now every day, seeing and watching the server that it's stable. And then we can release this feature. We've got some settings that we can say now we give it away to the next 100 people that update their CV. So then some people will get a mail saying, hey, test the link, you get the matching. So it's there, the first version, but it's hidden. And we will see. So again, you see an example of something which was already in Q3, which is when you go to the server, you encounter surprises. So it's not easy. But everything, again, was delivered. If we talk in releases, so all of these things can only come out when we have a release. We had a very important release end of September, I think it was, 3.6, which had the Find a Job, replacing the old one, which has this beta, which was hidden. And this was requested by Maria from Greece. I will come back to that. A special URL to go to the Find a Job with some pre-selections done. I sent an email about this, but I will come back to that as well. Then we had release 3.8, which is, so what happened to 3.7? It was an internal release, which has some important components, nothing to the end users. So we decided, because 3.8 was built on it, and as things were already delayed with the 6, we said we're going to skip the 7 and take it straight into number 8, which has some end user. So the 8 is the next release which brings something. One thing is important. We have a new user management meaning, and you could be impacted already if you try to open the PDT testing tool, is that whatever you do of the Eurus tools, all the ones, if you try to log in, you go all to the same login screen. And once logged in, you can jump from one tool to the other. It knows like, you're already logged in, you've got a session, you just can go from one to another, which opens some nice things, which I will show you in a bit. And as requested by you, I think 2 meetings ago, some of the quality reports are built on reports coming out of the monitoring tool and the replication tool. And you ask, can we not have access then? If we are being scored, can we also have a look ourselves? Yes, it's there. So you request it, and I will demonstrate this in a bit. So I'm focusing only on the things that go about interoperability, or all the other stuff. This is the first goodie. It was a request from Maria. She asked, if you open the Find a Job, would it be possible that we put, let's say, an iframe on our portal from the PES, but we want to have it in Greek and that it's selecting already the jobs from Greece. And that's been developed, so you can call the search engine by this with 2 parameters. One is a pre-selection of the country, like here it's Greece, so it's already filtering on jobs only for Greece, and the language, which is as if you would go as a user and select at the right top a language. So if you use this, you could have jobs for your country in the language of your country already set up there. So this has been requested, it's been delivered, and the list of codes I send also an email about it. So everyone that wants to use it, and again, if you have ideas like this, could we do this, could we do that, send them. As you see, I think it was 1 year ago, so if you request things now for Santa for next year, maybe he will bring it. The single sign-on. If you ever want to go to one of the tools and you end up on this page, don't panic, it's a single sign-on kicking in. It seems like, you should log in, and it's now one screen. We complained because this looks too much like the portal login screen, so there is an open ticket that this should be modified in a more let's say, login screen, and not so much looking as if you're ending up on the portal. So it will change over in the future into a nice authentication screen. But remember this, so before you had to go in the PDT tool and log in there. If you use the link, you end up there. Just enter your username and password in the box, and if you hit OK, you will jump to the tool as normal. This has been updated in our IOC process manual. Thanks to Elke, it's been updated, and there is a whole chapter on logging in where this is mentioned, and also with all the other tools, it has a mention saying that you will go there first. So if you follow the process manual, this is explained. Then, read-only access to 2 tools. The very end of today, we will look again at the new quality score. We all discussed and agreed on a quality score. For this meeting, we calculated the score for October, what it would be, using all the tools. And you requested access to 2 tools, so you could check yourself. One is our monitoring tool. So to recap, the monitoring tool is a tool used by us, which is 24/7, looking at your web services, pounding them every 5 minutes, saying, are you alive? And it's testing the different web services that they're working. If you're green, you're fine. If you're blue, and that's us, ourselves, it means there is a known error. So the moment we know there is a problem, instead of bombarding you with emails, we make a ticket and we put it to blue saying we know that there is an issue. That's blue. And if it would be like red, it means for more than 2 hours there has been an issue connecting you. And then is the moment when we open a ticket which you receive in Jira. By the way, there are links at the right to go to the PES tool. They don't work. Why? This monitoring tool is on the production server, and the PES debug tool is on the conformance server. So this link, if you would click it, tries to go to the debug tool on the production server, and it's not installed there. For the moment, we are on a separate machine. So if one day we would put all the tools nice on one machine, we would have a very handy, suppose that you've got an error, then you can click and go directly to the tool where you can go and test your web service, which is, of course, a nice thing to have. For the moment, that doesn't work there, and the same here. So opening the tool from here will give you an error. The most important thing for you is here, generate reports. Oh, sorry, yeah. In the manual, Elke has described how you can generate an historical report of how was your uptime for your PES over a certain period. That's the one thing we use to calculate one part of your score. So one part of your score is, for 1 month, how much percentage was your uptime. Most of you are like 99.9% up and running all the time. So if you say, I want to know for myself, or you think your score is not correct, you can generate a report and you can go and check at which moment this report is saying that you were down and why, if you're interested. So if you think like it's not working, go and check your live status, always interesting. If you want to know why was I down, or why do I have so bad scores, you can generate the report yourself. So all for you to use. The second thing is you've got a window read-only to the replication. The replication is the tool which is constantly updating our index table with your vacancies. So all the time we are connecting to each of you and asking you, do you have new vacancies, which ones are closed, update the information. And it's very important that this keeps running, and if there is a problem there, so every morning, that's the thing we do in the team, we go and check in this screen, like, is there an error, did something not work? And this is the screen that you will see. So you will see all of you listed, and you will see a status. So this means, for instance, quarantine, when we do the replication, the system is going to check a couple of things. If we detect that you have a lot of invalid codes suddenly, like 90% wrong region codes, it will stop. It will say like, oh, I'm not going to continue. Something has went way out of bounds, and it will stop. And in the morning I will come in and I will see like, it stopped in red, and I will see quarantine, meaning that you've been put aside. Then I can go and manually say, no issue, just continue. When I check, maybe you update it to ISCO, I will just change the ISCO code, and I say continue, and then things go. So if you see yourself being in quarantine, it means something went wrong and you've been put aside. If you see there for quarantine for 4 days, nothing happening, then you better contact us, because that's not normal. Normally we're following up on this, but you know, if you're all the time that you're on quarantine, your vacancies are not updated anymore. Or normally you should be active, like most of you. Another possibility is warned. At a certain moment we try to do some calls, and if we see like, okay, this is not working, we'll just put you to warned and we'll try again in the next run. So it's also not with the first error, if it's temporarily a hitch or whatever, that we immediately put you in quarantine. There is another try. If that try doesn't work, then we go into problem. But most of the time, so all of this is being followed up by us constantly, but you can look at yourself. So if you've got something like, my vacancies are outdated, they're not showing, my new vacancies are not showing, and interesting is coming here and seeing when is the last time my data was replicated, meaning when is the last time that we came and asked you, do you have anything new? If this is, for instance, from 3 days ago, then it's logical that your data is not updated, then you know. If you see that we just came to get the data and they're still not on the portal, that's strange, but can have a second reason I will come to. What can you do? When it's running, you can hover over the status, and this is what I called, when I was doing the analysis, my washing machine program. It's like a washing machine. It shows you the program, and at this stage we are on step 6 of the program. So what is the thing doing? It's going to first call PES stats, then we do what I call the sanity checks, checking if there is major distortion, and I will not continue. If that's okay, then we will process the PES stats, which is creating new ones and deleting the ones that are gone. And then we do the adding, the closing, then some solving, these are some problematic cases, and then the updating. So we always do first what is most important, getting the new ones and killing the ones that should be gone. And the remaining time, we go over the ones that are already there, just checking like, did you update maybe some of the content? So there, if yours is not finished, like for instance for Germany and for UK, they take quite a long time. You can go and see they're like, it's now noon and we are still working on my data, so it's logical that some of them are not there. This is also important. Should be yes. If you are here in a no, it means that you've been put invisible. So you can imagine, we are updating you. We've got 20,000 vacancies from you in the index. And then the connection goes wrong. I cannot update anymore. But your vacancies are there. They are in my index table, and they're shown, and you are not capable of telling me they are closed or updated, which means the index gets out of date. And at a certain moment, you want to say, if we cannot connect, put them all invisible. That's the switch. We had, I think, a problem with Romania. At a certain moment, we decided, and then we contact you, we said, okay, should we not put all the vacancies now off? And with pulling that switch, none of your vacancies can be found anymore. So this is really the red button saying, okay, let's put them all away. So that's important. If you want to see a history, when you click on your own link, you will see the last 10 replications. So if you want to see, like, did everything go right this week, click on the link, and you will see a nice window showing. So play around with it. You cannot do anything wrong. It's read only. So click away. It's not that you're going to destroy the system. This is this history window, I think. Yeah. So this is for Ireland, the history of the last replication. So there you can see that the last one had a pest stats error, which is the first. If that doesn't go, the whole replication doesn't go, because this gives you the full inventory. Another one is the show, meaning that show is for each vacancy we do a show. And if for 100 of them, suppose that this doesn't work, we try like, I think 100 times. That's a setting we can put. For some, we can put it to 500. If we go over that, we stop as well. So if you have this, there is something wrong. And we also give you the ID. So this means that we tried to reach out for this one, and it didn't work. So the first thing for you to do is open the PDT tool, enter this number in the show, do a test, and if you see that there indeed is an error, or you can go in your database and see what's wrong with this ID. Most of the time, this just means that the connection is down, that we try to call, but no one is answering. So you can get a nice overview also how long it's been taking. So we can see, for instance, the last time that it really went well, it took 6 hours for them to do the full replication. So this can give you interesting information about how long is it taking for me, do I have errors or not. Which is important because you get scored on the normal replications, how many of them go without any problems. We'll come back to that when we look at the report. So if you wonder, like, is everything going for me? Am I doing fine? This is the place to go and see if everything is like perfect, okay, every day. You will score 100%. With a screen like this, meaning that Friday, Saturday was not okay, these are going to be 2 penalties if they are really related to problems on your side. More to the bottom of the same, so we're going down to the screen, you can see this, the automatic replication. So there you see what is called our automatic agenda. It's the runs, no, sorry, these are the manual ones, sorry. Individual. So if in the morning I see, like here we at Ireland had a problem, if I see this in the morning, I go and see like they're up and running again, I will just say, do it now. For a lot of you, hello, welcome. I think here's one. So for a lot of you, if there are any issues, I just try again in the morning, and most of the time it goes. Or if you call me saying, look, my vacancies, something happened, I had to remove a couple of vacancies and it's really urgent to get them off now, I will go in and do a manual run as well, because this would then update them even in the middle of the day. Maybe the most important thing is at the bottom, the indexing. And it's this node. One thing is that I'm updating my index table. It's like the yellow pages. This is important to have a good database. But what you see when you do searches is based by an index. So the updating is one thing, and then once a day, there is something which you call an indexing. This program is going to read the whole database, and it's going to determine all possible searches that can be made. So if to have a vacancy displayed on the portal, one, it should have been going to a replication with you, then I have it. Secondly, an index should have been completed after this. The next index run that runs will take this one and say, okay, this is something that can be found. From that instance, that second, and find a job, it can be found. The same by removing. If you say this one is gone, it's still there, it should be gone, until the next replication index, it's going to stay there. So if you're going to look in the screen and you go like, we updated a lots of data now, for instance, just now, go and check if since then a replication has succeeded and if we had an index. For instance, we had some issues with performance on the indexing, that machine, which meant that we had no indexing for 3 days, which is disaster. Because it means that your database gets the search results, even that we are getting all your vacancies. The search results are still referring to old ones. So it's very important to have this indexing, and that's also why on studying performance, for instance, we are improving on this. For instance, for Germany and UK, now we're doing one vacancy at a time, one after the other. But with web service, we can do 5 at the same time frame. We can do 5 calls to you at the same moment and get 5 replies. We found that this can really bring back the replication time from hours to like 1 hour. So this is something which is in the pipeline to improve. Also in the indexing, there are also ideas to improve or do maybe an index for each of you. You do first your update and we do an index only for you, which could help in having updated information. So a lot of information in this screen. The link is here, and it's also in the manual. So also on this there is a whole manual. Now the IOC process manual is updated with information. And here in the slide, if you click that link, it brings you to the monitoring. So remember, always you will have this login screen first before you can go there. And then the second tab that you have at the top is to go to reports. That's the place where you can make the report which we're using to calculate your score. One is a status report, which is now, like what was the last, and there's a whole Excel file with a lot of data on the replication. The latest quality report, which gives you the quality of your PES now. And most important, the historical one. So we're making your quality score on the data, running this report for a month, like October for the Netherlands, for instance. And in this Excel, we find for each day, for each field, the score of your quality. So we can see, for instance, that contract codes on the 6th of October, you had 80% of them correct. And this is what we use for the whole calculation that you will find in the manual as well. This we use to calculate your score on how good is your quality of the content of your data. And if you want to find out yourself, so if you say, I want to know how this is for this month now, for instance, or for November, go there, put the period, put your PES, hit your email address, and you will get this super Excel, which Elke has been working with for days now. So she's still recovering. So that's these 2 reports. You asked to have the access, you have it, which is important for you if you want to be in control over the quality that we are having. Use them if you have any questions also for improvements. Don't hesitate to let us know. Also, if things are not clear how to use, we can always improve the manual based on your feedback. So if something was not clear and you found out how to do it, please let us know. because maybe your colleagues are also suffering. For me, I'm using this every day, but for you, I can guess that some of these things. Any questions on the first part? Everyone is already slam dunk down now. No, but just have a look. It's important that you know that they are there. Use the manual. BI. We had already 2 reports, one on stock, one on inflow, which I can run now historical back to 1st of May of 2014. Some of you have requested me already some reports, some data. I provided that data, for instance, using the BI reports. So if you have a specific question, you can, for the moment, only ask it to us. We can run it. There is a third one now. This is this one. It's calculating the average number of days a vacancy was visible on our portal, meaning it was in the index. So for instance, here it's showing for September, for the whole of Europe, the average number of days, and we can see that Liechtenstein, the jobs for Liechtenstein were on average 17 days there, with a maximum of 26, and only 5 of them. So that's also why I asked to put in the count, because some of these things have a high thing, but the relevance of them also, of course, depends on how much. So here, keep in mind that if you have, for instance, Luxembourg, that these are all vacancies coming from all of the PES. It doesn't, if you like, from the PES of Luxembourg, it doesn't mean that this is only your database. It's all the vacancies to work in Luxembourg coming from all the sources. But it's possible if you say, like, no, I want to know for me, I want to know for all the countries what I'm sending in, then you can put a filter on source. Let's see here. So it's possible that I say, no, put a filter only coming from France. I want only the vacancies in my database that I got from France. And then I run the same. Or I want to see IT jobs, because you've got like here and then next. So, sorry, at the bottom you see these tabs here. So this report I can have in many different slices, and these are some screenshots from these tabs. So by contract type, by flag. So the Eurus flag ones, for instance, are much shorter on Eurus portal than the other ones. I'm not giving any quality about that. It's something that you see. It's very dangerous to make assumptions based on what you see there. The same for ISCO. So you can see for each occupation what is there. And if you would be interested, say, for instance, on one of them, then you can say, I want to put a filter on that one, and then go and look at the lower levels. Then you will only have that ones, and there is a tab for lower level, which gives you a division. So by putting filters and then going to the correct tab of information gives you maybe 100 different slices or reports you could be running. So just for you to know that if you have a question on stock, inflow, or average number of days of vacancies, we could help you maybe with an historical report, meaning we can go back on 1 day, a week, a month, a quarter, a year, whatever period you want, back to 1st of May 2014. That's when the index started. So the moment we started making this index table is the moment, Bruce.
Can we send that request to you, Christoph?
Yeah, for the moment. So we have to see, because for the moment we're putting all the effort on making new reports, because it's, of course, much more interesting than set up processes for distributing reports. But the question is how we can set up an interface or make some reports which are very clickable, and you request them. Because I'm not only working on this, also Simona, my colleague who's sitting there at the table, is working on is also making reports for job vacancies, for instance. So we've got reports on the vacancies we have on the portal, for instance, on the users. We have the same kind of question, like how can we distribute? Also, for the moment, you need to know a bit what the filters mean. The knowledge about how to make a report is now. So it's very important to pre-build reports with a nice description. I'm afraid to give statistics away to people because you know what happens. If you give away statistics without a manual, you get trouble. No, what you get is 10 telephone calls coming back like, oh, why is this like that? No. So first we need to find a way of distributing this information, which doesn't mean, for instance, if you would be interesting, that we could not try to organize like a login to the group, saying if you say, okay, can we have a try running some reports just for the sake of trying out, so not for making them for real, that could be organized. And also, if you have some requests saying, what about this or this report, let it know, because maybe it could be nice. We have planned also some extra ones for 2016. So this concludes from our vision, the retrospective of 2015. Quite an important year with the Find a Job finally going live and building, and the most important thing will be presented by Thomas on the survey. So for me, it's yet again a very successful year, and it only makes you be very impatient for the next ones, because we are really getting there. 2016. Everything I'm going to show you has not been approved. My boss is sitting there. He will agree with me. We have to go to many layers of management and with contractors and budgeting, which is a very important step to do. So this is intentions, but things could change. I want to bring this diagram to you because I'm going to try to bring a simpler version of this tomorrow to the ECG. And I want to try it out today. See if you run away scared. This is what I want to sell as the new view on interoperability. It's quite simple. You got in the middle part this cloud, that's us. We are getting data from you, we are doing a lot with it, and we are using it at the top to produce in the future up to 10 tools. The blue ones are the ones that we have today. For instance, we have the Find a Job, you know about it. We've got a system, you see job seeker profile. We're moving away from the name CV, because what we're doing is not, I think I told it maybe the time before already, we're not really into making this paper CV that you use to apply. The goal of yours is to have the information from the job seeker to find a job for that person. And we have, like Europass has a CV, which is really a document to go and apply. And to, let's say, position the different tools we have at the Commission, we're trying to find how the different tools could be, let's say, optimized for the different reasons of existence and work together. And we want to really focus on a job seeker profile. We want to know this person, the part of your CV, of course, which tells you what you can do, we want to know. But also what you want. I want to go and work there. That's not your CV, that's your desired employment. And also some other settings, like I want to work in that region, or I'm coming just from school. Everything which could be important of a person to find the perfect job for that person is a profile. So to go away from thinking CV, which is for me, and there's a lot of work done because that's the domain of Simona. So for the moment, the name chosen is job seeker. Before it was job seeker application, but being IT, when I was talking about job seeker application, everyone was thinking I was talking about to find a job, because application sounds like a tool. So for the moment, it's job seeker profile. So job seeker profile is our CV online tool. That's a tool we have. You can find, an employer can find a candidate, he can send an inquiry, we can do a find a job, and there is a beta for the ones having their CV online to find a vacancy. So the blue things are tools we are having to deliver in self-services. Today, most of the things we're doing are happening on the portal. These tools, people have to register, and a lot of those things are driven by data coming from you by using the current web services. So until now, we focused a lot on the bottom part, like we focused on having web service and quality, and we have a PDT tool, but we've got a process manual, we have this group, and we're looking into changing to new web service with the new standards. But I want to change the focus here. Because the main thing that we're doing all of this is to provide services to the network. If you know the new reform is that the network is going to do the placements. And we should be delivering services that enable you to do more. And at the moment, I think everyone was a lot afraid, we have to send in vacancies and this new standards. Okay, I think it's covered. I think we're doing a great job there. That's what we want to see today and how Thomas is handling this. And that's what I want to hear from you. Like, do you think that we're doing a good job here? Are we moving as it should? Do you think that the way we're handling these new standards, you can cope? Is this okay with the new pilot that's coming up there? I don't see so much problem there. I see a problem here that I can build APIs as much as I want. If no one is going to pick them up or use them, or they don't fit any of your business processes, then the whole story is just nice to do a bit things on the portal. But you know, the things on the portal is important, but the volume or the potential that is here is uncomparable to this. So I want to bring the focus, if we talk about interoperability management, the thing should be, this is for us business as usual. It's planned. Some of these things will take some effort, but we are in control. We know how it's happening. We've got a group working on it. And if there are any policy issues, we bring them up to management. So let's just continue and improve. The most important things, and I can tell you, for instance, on these processes, I started an internal discussion on them with us on a couple of these potentials. And immediately there were a lot of questions like, should we be doing this? I don't think that PES would like this, or this could be a competition to PES. We should not do this. Or something that we maybe want to make, that we go, should we be making it there? Should this person not go to a PES? We should not do this on the portal. So I think we can do everything. Again, IT, we can get every API you want. Should we do this? And how are we going to do this? From the point of processes here, that's for me the main point now. What are you going to do? Which of these processes should we build? And then it tells me which APIs should come first. And it will tell Thomas which set of data should maybe be the first one to come over. Because again, on the data, we don't want to do a big bang, you sending everything. No. The moment we have something and we need data, we will get it. And you will start sending it in as you can to the system. So it's important to bring a picture, which I want to use from now, is to bring this picture where interoperability is at the input, covered. We should have a clear exchange, standards, processes, governance on the exchange. And that could be policy items as well. Then they go to the ECG. But also, we have to start doing the top work. Because we are there. We have some of the parts, so we should be. And we will start today with the API. That's the thing to discuss. We have to determine some of the processes. If we talk about the API, I will ask you, what are you going to do with it? And there are some policy. We will bring, of course, in 2016, we will bring, of course, new tools as well. We will not rest, like Find a Job can improve. And of course, the main thing for Thomas, we will continue here getting these web services to get more and better data into the system. So this is, in a nutshell, we want to go to this, and these are the 4 main focus points for me where we should make progress. And it's not all IT, as you see. Making processes is something which is not immediately development, but it's important there as well, and these tools. So this gives you a focus, and I hope any feedback on diagrams like that is also welcome. You will see I will build up this document tomorrow step by step. To you, I just give it bang, because you're used to this diagram. For me, you know that I will explain. But I hope that you see that we have to bring interoperability to its 2 main domains and focus on both of them. Anyone wants to comment or ask a question on this? Okay. This is then, if you look at the tools, a bit of a potential roadmap. This automatic matching we got already 2 releases which are already, let's say, analyzed, meaning they need to go for development. It's this automatic matching. I think I showed it already last time, that a user gets a detailed score of his match, and he can hit some button saying that he likes it or not. And then in the next version, if you said, I don't like this vacancy, or this was a bad match, we will remember this, and in your next matching results, we will hide the job that you said, I don't want this job, will be hidden. Things that some of you already also have, of course, in your matching system. So these are just logical evolutions which already have been analyzed, and you see how much time it takes. Now they're going to be developed, and before they go into production. And an update of the Find a Job with things that have been announced already a long time ago, so I will not say too much. On the API, this is the thing for me for next year. I send you all the specs. I'm really enthusiastic about the specification, what you can do. I will try to sell it later on by showing you more of the details and the power of this API. A possible update is to give, next to the API, give you some default code. So a program that you can put on your site, which is pre-configured already with the most important calls, which can save developers quite some time. But also there, I want to first hear what you're going to do, because then the templates of the thing we build in could be those. It's stupid to build pre-configured things that if you say tomorrow, yeah, but I'm not going to use it this way. So again, and then on the data warehouse, some reports. People on Find a Job can make saved search profiles and get notifications. It's very interesting to run reports. So for instance, I can see on these 1,000 saved search profiles to see from which country are these people, what are the keywords. For instance, the keyword architect is coming back one of the top. So that's interesting to go and see the moment you have data on users, to go and see if there is evolution, like what are the key terms now, last year is the same key term there. Are people from, the most people from Spain making search profiles? What is the language that they're using in the interface? All of this can really be interesting. And the same, we've got millions of each search being done since the beginning of Find a Job to going live. Every keyword, every facet clicked is stored. So you can imagine if you can go and tap in there and see what have people been searching for. And from where were they? This thing was the most painful. I had discussions of 2 weeks with ITers to explain them that I don't need privacy information, I just need the IP. Get the region code and you can drop the IP, and I don't see any. It took me 2 weeks to get this. You don't want to store it? No. You know. So now I want to give the word and the floor to my colleague Thomas, who thank God joined our team. And so the idea is, in our team is on interoperability. We have a little core team made up of Simona on job profiles, me for vacancies, and Thomas is going to go way in the bottom for the data and the exchange, and that we try with 3 people to move, of course, faster, because I felt that this topic you cannot handle only like the survey. You could be full-time working on the great feedback receiving. So I would like to welcome Thomas to our team, and he will report you on the most important thing.
So my task here is to look after the data and works like this. To look after the data and to provide all means necessary to yourselves, to Christoph, to make sure that the business processes that have been outlined are actually served. So you have everything in place that in essence you need to accomplish the things. First, putting a little bit of things into the perspective. In 2015, we do have something already which works. We have seen the demonstration of it. We do synchronize the job vacancy data this data is getting replicated. It is getting replicated using the standards, or semi-standards, which have been designed in 2006. So there is something formal that we use. It is, however, homegrown standards, if you wish. This is something that serves quite well. But we need to revisit it a little bit and to see if that could help us further. We do not replicate CV's data at all yet. We do not have involvement of any private parties. And we have done a standard survey. So this is basically state of play as it is right now in 2015. We do some data exchange, but it is not ideal. And we do have much more ambitious plans, as Christoph has already outlined. We would like to do much more. We would like to match CVs. We would like to match job vacancies. We would like to do it amongst all the countries. And we would like to open the club to more members. So it will be not just the PESs, but it will be also private partners that will, under certain conditions, be joining organizations. So we are envisaging much more data flowing in. And to make all that work, so in 2017, beyond that date, we need to have a sound foundation. And this foundation is the data. So in essence, we are building out a network. It's really like a rail network, like a trains. First, what we make sure is that we have good tracks amongst all the countries, that we can have the trains in the future that can run on high speed, and that we do have interoperability that functions. But there is some little bit of work to be done, obviously, and that's why we're looking at 2016 in terms of conducting a standards pilot. So we have designed the standards in 2015. We made a standards survey. A standards pilot that will be actually looking at implementation of what we have designed so far with few countries first to see what are the learnings, how it will go. And we will introduce some new business processes on top of these new standards. So we'll have a lot of work in 2016, still on that metadata, on the standards data. And we will begin to tackle the new business processes. Need of the standards, obviously everybody understands that. We would like to streamline integration. We would like to have something we can give to anybody, a package which explains what to do with the data, how to structure it, how to make it such that we can quite quickly integrate the new countries in, how we can build on top of it new business functions. So if you would like to match job vacancies and CVs, for instance, on a location basis, saying that I would like to find a work in a certain region, not too far in terms of the commute. So all these things need to be supported by the data. So the standards are supposed to help there. We would like to also give opportunity to the private operators to join, meaning that private companies would like to submit maybe job vacancies that are sourced somewhere else, or CVs, or candidatures. And for that, we also would like to have something which works really, really well. Now, in terms of this graphic, we will be getting the new formats for the vacancies and for the CVs, and this will be standardized data formats. We have conducted the standard survey in 2015, so it was from February until July. Each of your organizations have received a package with spreadsheets to answer. And there, what we have done, we have looked at the GV and CV data structures. We separated it basically into the lines that we really thought are necessary in order to make the first business processes work. So you have, in essence, a core data attributes there. It's not so much, it's 74 GVs, it's a 2 times more for CVs. And the first thing we have done, we wanted to see how much data is there available on your site at all. Can you ship it to us? That was the first question. Second question was, are you legally entitled to? Do you have any legal concerns doing it? So that was a standard survey. Based on that survey, we were looking at the fields that are absolutely necessary for ourselves to receive in order to do the matching and searching. And for those fields where majority of the countries were okay to deliver, we basically were building a core data structures such that we can receive this data. So here is an illustrative example of how this thing looks like. The standards survey feedback that you have received last week is in essence a decision in terms of which fields we really, really need, which are mandatory, and which fields are sort of nice to have for certain business functions, but we can live without. And this is where the conformity layer and optional layer are coming in. Now, if you're looking at the tables by themselves, it's a little bit confusing because there you don't see the complete data structure. That's why it's kind of important also to keep open the Word documents which show the whole business structures, because there is much more in. So there are things like choices, there are things like different sequences, where we might say we need a certain element. It is mandatory, but it is a part of, for instance, a choice where we can say if there are location preferences, then one of the following things can be chosen. For certain, we need just one. And if you give one, the certain fields are mandatory. So there is some logic in there. And if you have questions, we certainly can discuss that at length. As far as the results for this exercise are concerned, we looked at it in terms of taking the whole chunk of data and saying, well, there are so many elements, and for sure we don't need them all. At the level of CV elements, we got from 65 to 100% available on the conformant layer, and from 18 to 95 on the optional layer. So we really tried to remove everything which is not necessary, absolutely, to make this first business functions work. And we have achieved quite a good result. So on CV layer, we really focused on those things that you really can deliver. So at the conformant layer, 100%. On the optional layer, there are a few which are missing, but it's not a big deal, so really 95. On the GV, we also moved quite nicely to higher 80%, 89% conformant layer, 64% optional layer. So there is no impediments in implementing it if you want. You really do have this data, and there will be no problem to receive it. Now, of course, we need to see on how these data structures are specified, because sometimes you have choices, sometimes you have sequences. So together we need to work out some rules and some guidance in terms of how to use it. There are attention points, are those data elements that not everybody can deliver or majority cannot deliver. Again, we try to do our best not to have them a lot. So at the max we have GV 11%. And we need to see how we can work around it. So basically together with you. So our aim was to move on the feasibility to the green field, so 100% on the CV, as we said. Not feasible are only 5% on the optional layer. Again, optional layer is not such a big deal. On the GV, we have 4 fields where we need to see how we go around them. And on GV, optional layer, we are quite okay. Now, there is, again, once you're asking the questions, we have already received questions from Poland, I believe, so this is very helpful. Let's sit down together, let's investigate how the data structure is looking like, and I'm sure we can find a good compromise there. So when you're looking and analyzing these tables, please don't look only on the spreadsheets, but also have an idea how the structures are done. So have the Word documents, which are also part of the standard, open on the site. So this is exercise we will be going through. And Euro Standards Pilot is something which is supposed to support us here. What is a Euro Standards Pilot? If we look at the timeline and how the things will be happening now in the next years, what we're proud of, what we have produced so far in 2015 is a draft standard 1.0. So the package that you have received last week, the 2 Word documents and 4 spreadsheets, are in essence something on which we have pulled information. We have found the fields that are implementable for the majority, again, mandatory and optional. And we produced what we call draft standard 1.0. This is something we'll be bringing to the EURES Management Board in the first quarter. Now, it's just a piece of paper. It's not worth nothing. Nothing has been implemented yet. We have to work together in making sure that it actually works. That's why we will be conducting a thing which is called pilot. We will be welcoming a number of member states to help us to look at the standards and to look at your data and to see how we can produce the data sets that we can import and feed to the matching engine, feed to the searching engine. Again, this is a really pilot exercise. It's just to assure ourselves and to assure our developers that the data can actually work. Again, we would like to, 3, 5, it can be 6, 7 member states as well. We would like to have a sort of group with whom we can work, who have a different IT infrastructure, more developed, less developed. For you, it is also maybe opportunity to jump this implementation faster. So obviously, we'll be helping you here with. But the result of this exercise should be standards that we are sure about, that they are workable on one side. On the other side, some additional material for another member states to say, well, we have done it with 5 countries. It works pretty well, but attention points are here, here, and here. So this is something which will be for the benefit of everybody. This is a first initiative. It's supposed to help us to build together draft standard 1.1. Again, we will ratify 1.0. The results of the pilot will be contributing to 1.1. And this is when we actually will move to the implementation with member states at large. So that would happen later on in the second part of 2016, 2017. So don't be afraid, it doesn't happen quite right now, but we will already pilot it with you to see how good it works. Again, things are not cast in stone. We absolutely understand that things can change. Maybe there are new processes that need more data or different data. So we're quite agile in this respect. And we totally foresee that things will change. That's why we do have a management process for these standards to amend. At the same time, for those who have implemented things, we would like to have opportunity to maintain different versions at the same time. So say if you have implemented something in 2016 which already works, but a year later there are some amendments, we would be like to maintain 2 interfaces and make this transition smooth. So we don't push anybody. We do foresee changes, and we make these changes such that they don't spoil life of anybody. So this is our standards development roadmap. So again, what standards pilot will do, we'll study the data. So basically, with several member states, would like to see how the data is structured on your side, so that the transformation of this data and the import of this data is easy. We do have our IT department. This IT department will come up with a proposition, whether it will be SQL statements, or it will be some functions or some code, to help you to get this data out. We'll take this data, we'll validate it on our side. We will then give this data to Christoph's team to see how we can do the matching and whether the matching works. Again, it is not a production yet, but it is already something which will say approximately the process will look like this. So we'll pilot the first matching scenarios. We would like to improve our documentation, improve our standards. So this is where the amendments and the possible feedback. And in essence, then, at the end, we will produce a nice packaged thing to give to all member states to say, well, this is the scenarios of data extraction. This is the best way to proceed. If you have specifically, for example, Oracle tables, these are SQL statements that you need to apply to get this data so we can do something with it. So everybody is welcome to join. Now, we certainly will find a way to select and to make opportunity for everybody to contribute here. Again, this is more exact separation between the tracks. The PES-IT will help us with data description with some simple or simplified exports. We don't need all the data, we need a few thousand rows maybe to start. We on Euro's IT side will provide a data mapping, looking at your data, trying to map it to our structures. We will give you validation feedback, we will give you extraction scripts as applicable. Then on the PES-IT side, these scripts will be applied to the full data sets or the partial data sets. We'll take the data, we'll convert it, then we will bulk validate it. So in essence, what we do, what the validation engine does already, but we kind of do it first in a simple scenarios and not completely implemented. Then we will run the matching and try to look at the first business processes, and we will report. So it's a really 50-50 type of work. It is opportunity for you to start earlier. It is opportunity for you to get hand of our USIT to help you with this transition. So please consider. In terms of the mandates and involvement, obviously it will vary from member state to member state. Some of you have IT organizations which are quite capable. Some of you have just few people. So this should not be something which prevents you joining. Again, we'll be very happy also to face member states that have less developed IT infrastructure. That will be also beneficial for the both parties. That is about it. So if you do have any questions about the data, about the pilot, about how to proceed, what will be the next steps, please just drop me a line. Any feedback on the documentation we have sent last week is most welcome. We will just address it through the mail list, and for the next 2-3 days, please pass by, and I will be happy to chat with you. Thank you. Do you have any questions now? Thank you. Sure.
The pilot is it concern GB and CV?
Correct. Ideally, it concerns GB CV. If you can give just a part of it right now, it wouldn't be a big deal neither. So if you have GVs only, for instance, but you still would like to take opportunity, we also will consider. But obviously, it is better to have both.
We will continue discussion on this topic, but I just saw on the timing that I was skipping almost the coffee break. I don't know about you, but I need this caffeine shot very badly. So what I propose is that we take our coffee, that all of you get full of energy again, and then I want to discuss a couple of points and check out a couple of things from this presentation with you to get some, let's say, some checkpoints that you're okay, and also make sure that on the pilot things everything is clear, because let's say this is really major points that we are. So I want to make absolutely sure that you are okay with it. So I will try to moderate a bit and ask some nasty questions. Okay, but first let's grab the coffee. Important is if you didn't go for your expenses yet, Didier, who's sitting at the entrance, is going to leave after the coffee break. So if you didn't go to bring in your expenses, do so now. Otherwise you lose the money.